A Question of Faith. David Newman, Richard T. Jones, is a loving husband, father and an associate pastor at his church. He is about to be promoted to senior pastor since the current senior pastor, also his father, is stepping down. He is also in the midst of a big project, adding some additional buildings and facilities to the church. John Danielson, C. Thomas Howell, is a contractor who is struggling financially and is hoping his daughter, Michelle, can land a big record deal that will pull him out of debt. This puts a strain on his marriage and his relationship with Michelle. Things are further complicated when Michelle collapses while singing at their church. Kate Hernandez, Jaci Velasquez, owns a successful restaurant where her daughter, Maria, is a delivery driver. Maria wishes to leave to go to college since she would be the first member of the family to attend and graduate from college. Kate subtly voices her displeasure of Maria leaving her to go to college. One day, David promises his son, Eric, that he will pick him up from school and take him to his basketball game. Through a series of circumstances, David gets pulled into a meeting with a woman, Lisa, who will decide if the church can proceed with the project. During the meeting, David continually looks at the clock since he's already late picking Eric up at school. Lisa notices that David is constantly looking at the clock and asks if there is anywhere he needs to be. David tells her that he promised Eric that he would pick him up and that he's already broken multiple promises to him in the past. Lisa is understanding and tells David to go pick Eric up. During this conversation, David doesn't notice his phone vibrating on his desk. Eric is calling David and finally decides to walk home. As David rushes to Eric's school, Eric is looking at his phone while he walks home. Maria is out making deliveries and approaches an intersection. She looks down at her phone and doesn't notice Eric walking. They both look up from their phones too late. Michelle is in the hospital and her parents are told that she will die without a new heart. John has a conversation with his wife, Mary, and they discuss that in order for Michelle to get a new heart, someone else's child will have to die. John says that, as long as Michelle gets a heart, he doesn't care where or who it comes from. Eric is in the hospital, and the Newmans are told that Eric's heart is beating strong, but he has suffered irreparable brain damage and will die. Days pass and the doctors tell them that the law says that they have the right to declare someone legally dead, much to the frustration of David. A man comes to talk to Eric's mom, Teresa, Kim Fields, about donating Eric's organs to help others in need. David is against this idea. Meanwhile, Maria is sent to juvenile hall. David is eventually persuaded to donate Eric's organs, which ultimately leads to Michelle receiving his heart. Several weeks later, the Newman household is under strain due to David and Teresa dealing with their son Junior and his distantness towards them. Michelle has received Eric's heart but is not wanting to sing anymore, putting more strain on John and how he'll be able to get his family out of debt. Kate is also dealing with Maria being incarcerated. Eventually, David goes back to work. John is denied a construction project at work. John talks with the lead man on the job, who tells John that he should be grateful for the blessings that they have received, considering Michelle got a heart. He refers John to David, as David is looking for a contractor for the church project. David and John meet, but John, having a major attitude problem due to the financial stress he's under, decides to decline the job, not wanting to work with David. David eventually goes to meet with John again. David tells John that he spoke with a mutual friend of theirs who told David that John is the best contractor currently working who can get a project done on time and under budget. They agree to start over, and John seemingly opens up, smiles and takes the job. Later, David and his friend, Cecil T. Stallings, meet with Lisa at a restaurant. She tells them that they are going to approve the project. Cecil and Lisa leave, while David waits for a to-go order. As David waits at the table, he gets into a conversation with a waitress and asks her if the restaurant can cater any meals to their church. The waitress says that she will have to ask the owner, Kate Hernandez, if they do or not. She goes on to say that she's not sure since their delivery driver, Maria, doesn't work anymore. Recognizing the name as the woman responsible for Eric's death, David leaves stunned. David goes back home and lashes out at his family, saying that he doesn't know what he would have done if Kate or Maria had been in that restaurant. There for dinner, David's mother and father tell David that he should do what any Christian should, pray for them. David doesn't want to do that, and he storms off into another room. David's father talks to him privately and tells him that David needs to forgive Maria for what she did. After accepting the job and receiving enough money to pay off their debts and avoiding a looming bankruptcy filing, John realizes that he's been blessed by God. He asks his wife and daughter to forgive him for how angry he's been over the last few months. Eventually, David decides to forgive Maria and decides not to proceed with manslaughter charges against her, since the evidence showed that she was texting and driving, which in their state allows for her to be prosecuted for manslaughter if they choose to file. Maria is freed and proceeds to start attending David's church with Kate. John and his family also proceed to start attending the church. During the sermon, David calls Maria up and he publicly forgives her in front of the whole congregation as he explains to everyone who she is and what she did. They both hug. David announces that he is starting a foundation in Eric's honor to bring awareness to and to prevent accidents from texting and driving. Teresa begins singing a song but stops midway as she becomes overwhelmed with tears. Michelle steps in and begins singing again, much to the joy of her parents, as the film ends.